Hello and welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and today we are looking at the finally built up and completed high-grade Universal Century High New Gundam. I already talked a bit about this in the unboxing, so I'm just going to touch on it right here, but this was one of the first Gundams I ever saw, where I saw it and I was like, okay, I have to have this one. And it was also sold out absolutely everywhere. So I finally was able to get a hold of one earlier this year. I've built it up, and I've now finally got time to share it with you guys. So I'm going to start things off here with a 360-degree look around the kit because it comes to my attention that that is something that I don't always do in these videos, and I think there's some kits where I might not have ever actually even shown you the back of the kit. So I just want to get that out of the way right now so you can see just how awesome this kit is. And bringing it in for a closer look, you can see that the color separation and sculpting on this kit is absolutely awesome. There's blue, there's white, a perfect balance of the two, and then you got a little bit of silver to break it up sometimes. We got some here on the chest, some on the waist, all around the joints. We got some lighter silver on the knee, which gives a really nice effect. And they even made the top part of the V-fin silver. I was not expecting that to be colored. I thought for sure that was something I'd have to paint, and it really surprised me when I saw that on the runner. Even all the way down to the feet here, they actually have multiple colors on the underside of the foot, although you do still need to paint the thrusters. If we turn to the back, there is some more painting you have to do on the fuel tanks because the base of these tanks is supposed to be bronze, so there is a little bit of painting you'll have to do there. Coming up here though, we got some cool little thrusters. Those do not move, they are fixed in place, unlike the ball jointed thrusters that you might expect to see on a newer kit. And the backs of the wings here, you can see the top funnels do look a bit different from the others, but that's something we'll get onto in the accessories section. Because before we get into accessories, I want to talk about the articulation on this model because it has good points, it has bad points, and overall I think it's pretty darn cool. So, for starters, we have this really cool joint at the neck where basically the entire thing pretty much just swivels out, so you get a lot of upward head movement. And you can not quite look straight up, but definitely far enough to leave a pretty solid impression and gives you a lot of posing options. And it's a good thing he does that too, because side to side is really restricted by the cheek guards. You can kind of hook them over the collarbone here, but it's very scary to do that. And it's very difficult to do as well, so I'm not going to do it right now. But the shoulders are on a universal joint inside the shoulder, so they swing forward and back. And then they also swing up like this. You can see the joints kind of moving upwards. And then the shoulder pad itself swings around like this. The arm can come up to here, and with the help of that joint that's kind of similar to the one they used on the Revived Gundam, but not quite as wide a range of movement, you can get it up to here, which is pretty good for a kit of this age. We have a bicep swivel. We have an elbow that goes past 90 degrees, although it is single jointed. Ball jointed wrists like every Gundam ever. And on this side, I do want to point out something kind of cool, is they actually give you a little ammo pack here, and he has a little wrist Vulcan sculpted into his arm, and it's in a separate color. That's so cool! And you can even take the ammo pack out if you like. It just kind of pops out like this. You can't do anything with it, but it still comes out, and I just love that. It's like the, kind of reminds me of the NT1 Alex, where you got those Gatling guns on the forearms, because he can swing his arm around like this, and now he's shooting at you with his forearm guns. I love this gimmick. It's not even a gimmick, it's just a sculpted detail, and it's so cool! So moving on to the backpack, we have quite a bit here to work with. We have this flap here that's kind of, I guess, like a tail fin, sort of, that moves up and down like this. Then these two thruster tanks are on ball joints, so they rotate around, and they're attached at an angle, so as you swing them around this way, their angle does change dramatically, and they will need a wee bit of painting here for those little thrusters. And then the wings here go from straight back to, I don't think they go quite all the way out. No, they won't go quite straight out. This right here is about as close as you're going to get to straight out, but still not bad. And they can swing down all the way to about here and all the way up to about here. So something like that. So you get a good range of flapping motion, although there is no twisting on the wings, and I kind of wish they had some kind of way to twist this way. But so far that's the only big issue I've had with the articulation. Moving down to the torso, we do have a swivel that is pretty much completely unrestricted and just goes wherever you want it to go. we have a ball joint that you can actually get a nice bit of movement out of, but no upper torso joints, so just the one ball joint at the torso. If you want to, you could separate the front skirts. I haven't done that yet. You can pull the side skirts out to here. Back skirts do not move because it's a high grade. The legs come out pretty far for ball joint hips. They do swivel, actually quite a lot backwards, not so much forward, but you can get a good kind of 45-degree stance out of him if you so desire. And once you have these flop down, you can take the knee, you can bring his leg all the way up, just like this, get a nice forward kick, backwards just a little bit, and then you can take his knee, and he has a really far knee bend that just looks simply awesome. And then his feet are on ball joints, and then there's a joint inside the leg that allows you to swing the ankle up and then down to give you some different posing options. And you even have some tiny little gray thrusters inside the calf armor back here. I love that so much. And of course, you have the usual stand action base adapter port. So really the head is the only thing that is going to be limiting your movement if you just want to put him in a basic pose like this. And for the most part, I think he's got pretty much everything he needs. There's really nothing major that's missing. And since it's such a big, hefty, powerful suit, I really wouldn't be expecting it to get into any kind of crazy kung fu poses anyway. So I think the articulation does its job pretty well. So next we're going to move on to accessories, and we're going to start off with my favorite accessory on the entire kit, the blue and white shield. I love the striping pattern on this, and it's one of the big reasons why I love this redesign so much more than the original version Katoki design. It's got this really cool stripe pattern, reminds me of the kind of, what was it called? I think it was called like Dazzle Camo or something that they used to use on like warships so that the oncoming ships couldn't tell where the front of the ship was. And it looks great. The underside of the shield is gray. That's super cool. That's something you don't see a lot nowadays. I like that a lot. And it's got a tab here. So you just bring in the kit and you just pop it right onto his arm. And then you pull him back to here. And he's all loaded up with the shield on his arm. You can pose around however you like. You could attach it to the peg on the bottom if you want underneath his arm. It basically does everything you'd expect a Universal Century shield to do. Next up is his rifle, and unfortunately the rifle is completely unpainted. The rifle and the bazooka you're going to see in just a moment are supposed to be white with gray accents. However, on the model, they are completely gray. They still look pretty cool, and I still like the sculpting on them. It's just kind of a shame they couldn't have at least made them white, since then it would have been easier to paint on the tiny little bits of silver that are supposed to be here, as opposed to having to paint almost the entirety of this particular weapon white. You also get a trigger hand for holding it, and it has a tab on the inside, so the weapon is going to be nice and secure in that hand with no problems falling out. A bazooka is also included in the kit, like I mentioned earlier, and again, it's supposed to be white, instead it's gray. Sculpting's still pretty cool. The handle swings from here all the way up to here. Got a thruster on the back, got an ammo pack down here, doesn't come off, but still pretty awesome, and it's just generally a really cool looking bazooka. The final weapon on the Hi-Nu Gundam is hidden right here in plain sight on the kit. What you do is you grab on to this little piece right here, you pull it out, and there you have your beam saber handles. Once you have the beam saber handle outside of the kit and in his hand, you have 3 different blade options. Number 1 is a single long blue beam saber blade. It looks beautiful, it's blue, so of course it's an automatic win, and it looks really good on the kit. Your second option is a short blade. Also plugs in, makes kind of a beam dagger, looks really cool. Your third option is to attach the short blade underneath the handle and the long blade on top to make an asymmetrical, translucent blue, double-bladed beam saber. There is literally no other weapon in the Gundam universe cooler than this. And you get 2 beam saber handles so you can have him wielding both kinds of beam sabers at once. And now it's time for the most iconic feature of the Hi-Nu Gundam, and this is where things start to go a little bit downhill. Because if you take the funnel up here, you pull it off, you can open it up, and you get a nice little fin funnel You have no way of really attaching it onto an action base or any kind of stand. You don't get any kind of stand with the kit. But if you want to pretend these are flying around, you can do so, and you can do so with the other one on this side. However, if you try to take the next one off, this happens. The bottom two funnels on both sides are just a single solid block, and they are irremovable from each other, which is kind of a shame because, while I guarantee you I would never display this guy with all the funnels active, it does kind of bug me that he doesn't have the ability to launch all of them at once. But that's really the only big issue that this kit has, and there's honestly not much more I can say about it. It's just really fun. I had a blast building it. It's got good color separation. There is some painting you have to do here on the weapons, but for the most part it's not that bad. So instead what I'll do for the rest of this video is I'll just leave you with some awesome posts of the kit and say it's a good kit, thumbs up, go out and get one. It gets the second Soundwave seal of approval. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you are new here, subscribe for more Gunpla news, reviews, and more awesome Gundam content. And keep sharing these videos. I've had 37 new subscribers since the last video went up. That is amazing. That is a huge boost in subscribers, way more than it was before. We are going to make it to 2,000, and it is going to be awesome. Thanksgiving, November 24th. That's the deadline I'm setting. Let's see if we can make it. So keep sharing those videos. Share them to your Facebook build groups. Share them to Twitter. Share them to Tumblr. Share them anywhere you can think of to share them where Gunpla people are. As always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time.